In 1058, a judge was offered a salary of 1,000 dinars a month if he erased the caliph's name from the Friday sermon.
In 1058, a judge was offered a salary of 1,000 dinars a month if he erased the caliph's name from the Friday sermon. Al-Mawardi was no stranger to power. Born in 972 in Basra, he had studied under the leading scholars of his age, mastering jurisprudence, theology, and statecraft. By the time the Buyids ruled Baghdad, his reputation had grown through works such as al-Ahkam al-Sultaniyya, a treatise that laid out the Islamic principles of governance. His expertise made him a natural candidate for the judiciary, yet the Buyid Amir's request forced him to confront a dilemma that many scholars faced: serve the ruling authority or uphold the caliph's spiritual legitimacy. According to his own letters, al-Mawardi refused. He wrote that the caliph's name was not a mere formality, it represented the continuity of the Islamic community's leadership. To omit it would be to sanction a narrative that denied the Abbasids' religious role, even while the Buyids held temporal power. The judge's reply, preserved in his correspondence, insisted that the khutbah must include the caliph's name as a condition for his acceptance. This stance was not born of stubbornness, but of a principled reading of Islamic political theory, which he had articulated years earlier. The Sultan's authority derives from the caliph's endorsement. The Amir, faced with the prospect of losing a jurist of al-Mawardi's stature, reconsidered. Historical accounts note that after a brief negotiation, the Amir agreed to restore the caliph's mention in the sermon.
Al-Mawardi then accepted the judgeship, assuming the office with the stipulation fulfilled. The episode, though brief, reveals a moment when legal principle outweighed material gain. What followed solidified his legacy. As chief judge, al-Mawardi continued to teach, issue fatwas, and advise the administration. His rulings reflected the balance he sought, recognizing the Buyids' de facto control while affirming the caliph's symbolic supremacy. In his later years, he devoted himself to writing, completing works that would influence Islamic political thought for centuries. When he died in 1058, the same year the offer was made, his library and manuscripts were entrusted to his students, ensuring that his ideas survived beyond the shifting dynasties. His magnum opus, al-Ahkam al-Sultaniyya, written decades before the Baghdad offer, systematically outlined the qualifications of the Sultan, the duties of judges, and the relationship between temporal and religious authority. The work became a reference point for later dynasties, especially the Seljuks, who adopted its principles when they assumed control of Baghdad in 1055. Manuscripts of the treatise survive in libraries across the Muslim world, and scholars such as Ibn Khaldun later cited it when discussing the nature of Islamic governance. Al-Mawardi's other writings, including his commentary on the Quran and his work on ethics, were studied in madarisa from Baghdad to Cairo, underscoring his enduring intellectual footprint. Even after his death, al-Mawardi's ideas continued to shape administrative practice.
The Seljuk vizier reportedly consulted al-Ahkam al-Sultaniyya when drafting state organizational manuals. Moreover, Ottoman administrators later referenced his classification of public offices when structuring their own bureaucracy. His emphasis on the caliph's symbolic role provided a theological justification for rulers who sought legitimacy while exercising real power. In modern scholarship, his work is seen as an early attempt to reconcile religious ideals with political realities, a tension that remains relevant in contemporary discussions of governance in Muslim-majority societies. His tomb in Baghdad became a site of visitation for students of law, and his teachings were transmitted through chains of scholars that stretched into the 20th century. Today, when debates arise about the balance between religious authority and state power, al-Mawardi's name is often invoked as a reminder that principle can outweigh profit.
He turned down wealth
to keep the Caliph's name in the sermon, a choice that protected the symbolic unity of Islam and still echoes in debates over political loyalty today.